I'm here with Jeremy McKinney, AILA's immediate past president, and we're in the Senate Dirksen building, where Jeremy has just testified before the Senate Judiciary's Immigration Subcommittee about the issue of immigration courts. Jeremy, tell us, what was the main message that you were conveying to the senators today?
Yeah, thanks, Greg. The message was simple. Immigration courts are not real courts. They're an arm of the Department of Justice, and to guarantee fairness and integrity in immigration courts, they need independence. So we're pushing for an Article 1 immigration court, just like we've done in the House.
That's something so important that AILA's been campaigning for a long time to ensure the courts can be fair. Now, Jeremy, I was particularly struck by a case example you shared during your testimony. Will you share that with us?
Yeah, one of the things I wanted to do today was ground the senators in the reality of being a removal defense practitioner. And so I pulled an example of an older case of mine where you had two young siblings that it's just horrific, but they were sold into domestic servitude by their own father for another family. And it caused so much trauma, but that case was able to highlight the procedural obstacles that any respondent faces in immigration court, combine it with the fact that they were young and traumatized. So it brings in a lot of the issues that AILA's been talking about. AILA's asylum report, for example, how much time it takes to prepare. All of that could be rolled up into this horrific example. So I think that was what I wanted to do, was instead of talk about theory or policy, let's ground it in reality.
Really important point, to make sure these senators who come to this hearing understand the gravity of what they're talking about, but also feel grounded by who's impacted most. And I thought Senator Padilla, Senator Hirono really seized upon the fact that you were focusing on the children that were impacted. Senator Hirono mentioned her bill for legal representation, and several of them asked you about legal representation. In a nutshell, what is our case for why legal representation should be paid for by the government?
Simply put, representation counts. At this point, if you are represented in immigration court, based on different studies, you have anywhere from a 5 to 10x chance of being granted the relief that you're seeking. And so representation counts. We hear some on the subcommittee talk about the horrendous denial rates, and in their view, that means the asylum applications are frivolous or without merit. It's the absolute opposite. Most of the clients that we see have very real asylum claims because the challenges in our hemisphere right now are very real. And so what they need are the resources and representation to put those forward. At AILA, we are focused on the indigent. We want to make sure that the federal government can provide attorneys to those who can't afford those, just like in criminal court and other civil proceedings.
Thanks, Jeremy. And this is Jeremy's second time to Congress testifying on this topic. His first time was back in 2020. So you're clearly in this for the long game. AILA's in it for the long game. We know if we want legal representation, if we want a fair, independent immigration court, AILA's going to be in this for the long game to make those reforms happen.